Hello, my name is Bonnie Burke and I work for Workforce Resource. This webinar is on cover letters and references. Keep in mind, introductions could mean everything, especially as it relates to getting that job offer. You should have some handouts in front of you. One of your handouts is titled a note page. I so encourage you to follow along, jot down some notes, but more than that, I truly hope for you that you'll be able to take away at least 1 to 3 pieces of information that will be helpful for you in your job search journey. So we'll follow up on that when we do a review of this webinar. Why are cover letters important? Well, I should also ask how many of you currently submit a cover letter with your resume. Now, I have to be honest, when I was doing job search, personally myself, if the job ad said submit resume, that's all I submitted. Until the day I met a woman from Workforce Resource. She told me, always, 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 always submit a cover letter when you submit your resume. That's all I needed to hear. I trusted her. She'd shared with me all of her years of experience, especially interacting with businesses and hiring managers. So, taking her word of advice, every time that you submit a resume, I encourage you to also submit a cover letter. So we're going to talk about what needs to be in that cover letter. So why are they important? Why did she say always, always, always? Because sometimes that cover letter is the very first thing that an employer will see. That cover letter is going to give them a glimpse into your personality, and it's going to describe to that employer what you can do and what you can do for them. In today's job market, your cover letter may actually be more important than your resume. So now, what are your thoughts on submitting that cover letter? Some tips I want to share with you. They are very important, however, be brief. If you have already attended my resume webinar, well, in that webinar, I mentioned that the average employer only skims resumes. They take approximately 30 seconds and oftentimes less. So just like your resume, your cover letter needs to be brief. They will be skimming for high points. Address the letter to a specific person, if possible. If you are applying to a job from a job ad and that ad does not mention the person's name, you can always call the company and ask, I'm applying for this job. Can you tell me whom I should address my cover letter to? Most of the time, they will give you the name, and even if you ask, the correct spelling of the name. Tailor that cover letter to the job you are applying for. Do not have a generic cover letter that you submit with all of your resumes. Tailor it. Just like a resume needs to be tailored to every job you apply to, so do cover letters. The focus should be on how you can meet the specific employer's needs. Not what you want, but how you can meet their needs. A little bit on artistic and appearance. Make sure that the paper that you use and the font style that you use is the very same as your resume. Make them look cohesive, that they came from one person. So remember I said a cover letter should be brief? 3 small paragraphs, that's it, 3 paragraphs. In the very first paragraph, refer to the specific job and company that you are applying to. Some people even say to mention where you saw the job opening. You can do that. Also, some employers like to know, are they getting responses from specific advertisement? The second paragraph, you should note why you are qualified and what you can do for that company. That's your sales pitch. That's your commercial. You're going to want to nail that second paragraph. And the third, do not be shy, request an interview. That's what you're there for. That's what you want, that interview. So request that interview. So I want to give you some examples of weak and then also strong information to put in your cover letter. So why are you qualified for the job and what can you bring to the company? This is in your second paragraph. An example of a weak sentence. Please consider me for your sales representative opening. Please consider me? It's kind of weak, it's kind of soft. Think of this instead. I feel this is a strong example for that same position. Your need for a top performing sales representative is an excellent match to my 5-year history as a top ranked seller. Ooh, I think that would get their attention far more than please consider me. So hopefully that gives you an example. I'm going to give you a few more examples of a weak and a strong cover letter. How about this one? A weak one. I have strong communication skills. Yeah, and so does my dog. Here's the strong one. I have 5 years of public speaking experience and an extensive background in executive level reporting. Whoa, 5 years experience, extensive public speaking versus I have strong communication skills. I hope you can see the difference. I'm going to give you another example. So in the end, that third paragraph, remember I said to be bold, to ask for that interview. So here's an example of a weak request. Please call me. Okay, how about this for a strong third paragraph? I will follow up with you in a few days to answer any preliminary questions you may have. Or you may reach me at your phone number to arrange an interview. Whoa, assertive, gives her your phone number and tells that employer exactly what you want. Big comparison between the weak, please call me, to this is what I'm going to do and this is where you can contact me. So take a look at those examples of weak and strong. Your cover letter needs to be strong. I'm going to give you also a few examples of some statements to avoid in your cover letter. Overusing the word I. Remember, it's not all about me. It's about what I can do for the employer. So the focus should be on how you can meet that employer's needs. Refer to, this is another statement to avoid in your cover letter. Refer to my enclosed or attached resume. Ooh, you're making them work more by saying that. Don't even put that line in your cover letter. Instead, no, they can see your resume. They can see that it's attached. They can see that it's enclosed. This is a wasted space by stating, refer to my enclosed resume. And the other piece that I think is very important with cover letters is remember to sign the letter. That personal handwritten signature is very important. If you submit it electronically, at that time it's fine to type your name. Yet if you are printing it and mailing it or printing it and bringing it to a job fair, take the time to sign your cover letter. I have a few examples of cover letters in your handouts and I would like to talk about them. So I'm going to open them up so we can both be looking at the same thing. What I would like you to look for when you're looking at this example is, what do you like about this cover letter and what would you change? So I'm going to open mine up here. So here's our first example. As you can see, they've addressed it to Mr. Matthews. So that's good. They know his name. Looks like they have his name spelled correctly. I like this paragraph, I have to be honest with you. As an avid ABC123 retail company customer, I was excited to find your advertisement on Monster.com for an office manager for your new district headquarters. I submitted my resume, which is enclosed for your review. That's the piece that I would leave off. Mr. Matthews can see that your resume is submitted. He doesn't need to be told. It almost feels like it's redundant. The second paragraph, however, listen to this. I currently serve as an office manager for a busy service firm, XYZ Company. where I supervise a team of 12 employees and coordinate all office functions. He's using numbers, and that's exactly what employers like to see. They like to see results. Do you supervise 1 employee or 12? That's a big job. My strengths in improving office systems and building a top-performing clerical team have earned me repeated commendations and formal recognitions from the company CEO. I would spell out CEO if you were submitting this electronically. Chief Executive Officer. Once again, they're showing results, and those results are what give them the qualifications for this job. So this cover letter, however, is a little bit longer. This person has decided to list their qualification in bullet points. Bullet points will make it easier for that hiring manager to see your skills. However, I still would look at tailoring this paragraph to be smaller. Bullet points, however, are a great idea. The last paragraph is how the employer can contact them. I'm confident that I would be able to organize and manage your new headquarters. If you agree that my qualifications would make me a strong addition to your team, please call, this is the phone number, or email to set up a meeting. Thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing from you. One of the other pieces that I would change with this cover letter is when the person said to set up a meeting. You want an interview, not just a meeting. So spell it out exactly what you want. So once again, fairly good cover letter, a little bit long. The bullet points are great, but be specific for what you want. And there too, look at the ad for the job you are applying for. Look at those qualifications. In a couple of bullet points, put your skills that match those qualifications. So overall, like I said, not too bad of a cover letter. I have a second cover letter example that I want to share with everyone. Once again, notice how this cover letter is formatted. I really like that everything is justified to the left margin. I have seen several examples where your name and address will be over here on the right side. Personally, I think it's more appropriate to have everything left justified. So up on top, you have the person's name, email address. I would add the phone number up on top as well as your email address. So good job getting their name. Notice the length of this cover letter. It's very brief, 3 small paragraphs. However, I think she could have added additional information. It's so brief that I feel it's a little on the weak side. For an example, for your review, I have attached a resume. Yikes, once again, they can see the resumes there. I would be happy to meet with you anytime to discuss any questions you might have. Very, very soft. Be bold, ask for an interview. I can be reached at, and they gave their phone number. So be bold, ask for an interview, delete the line about the resume. I want to also point out in her first paragraph where she states, I learned through an advertisement in the Daily Gazette that your company is hiring electronic assemblers. I would appreciate being considered for an assembler position. Once again, very soft. I would appreciate. Take those soft words and change them into power words. Words that say, I'm the person for you for this position. So good. Overall, not too bad of a cover letter, yet I feel it's a little on the weak side. Needs a little bit more information and to be a little bit more assertive. And then once they print it, once again, make sure that John North signs their name. That personal signature is powerful. So good. So I gave you 2 examples of cover letters that could use a little bit of work. I'm going to show you one more sample. This cover letter is also in your handouts. And it's not actually a sample. What it does is it tells you exactly what information should you be putting in your first paragraph, what information goes in the second, and then what information goes in your concluding paragraph. Thank them for their considerations, be bold about requesting an interview, and then sign and your name. Sincerely. I've had a lot of people ask me, how do I end that cover letter? Is sincerely too sweet? Do I do cordially yours, best regards? It really doesn't matter. Make sure it's not fluffy. Sincerely is absolutely fine. So good. This cover letter example, I'm hoping will be a good template for you to create your own cover letter after this class. So good. So we've given you a template. I've given you 2 examples of okay cover letters and some good ideas on how to improve them. So next I want to move on to references, because with references, almost every employer is going to ask you for references, either in your application or at the time of the interview. They may ask you for an example of your references. So think to yourself, who are my best professional references? Keep in mind they need to be work related. So do not put a family member down as a reference, nor friends. Put down people that you have either worked with or have done volunteer services with. So get the person's permission first, making sure that you call your past supervisor, for an example, and say, hey, Jean, I'm going to be submitting a job cover letter and resume. May I please use you as a reference? If the person says yes, ensure that you have the correct spelling of both their first and last name, and verify that you have their correct phone number as well. Put those references on a separate sheet of paper. Do not put them on the bottom half of your second page of your resume. Do not put them on your cover letter. They need to go on a separate document. Verify once again that you have the correct contact information. In today's world, when people change cell phones, oftentimes they can use the same phone number. However, sometimes they can't. So verify that you have spelling and contact information correctly. So do not submit, and I've already said this, your references with your resume and cover letter unless it's requested. So study that job ad. If they request the references, submit them. Present them typically at the interview. They may not even ask for them at the interview. However, before you leave, you can say something, for an example, I've brought a list of professional references with me. Would you like me to leave those with you? The other reference tip that I want to share with you is use the same header on your cover letter and on your references and on your resume. 3 separate documents, making sure that the paper is the same, the font style is the same, and the header, your contact, your name information, is written exactly the same. It makes your documents look more professional. So I'm going to give you an example of what some references should look like. You can see that her name is Susan Phoenix. Personally, I would make her contact information a little bit larger, not too bad though. You can see that she has put her email address on there as well as her phone number. Great idea. And down here, she has listed 3 separate references. The one piece that I struggle with personally when I look at that, I can see that Jack Deere was an assistant director, Office of Residential Life. To me, it almost looks like it's formatted like a Christmas tree. So everything is formatted in the center. So if you are like me and you're not quite sure you like how that looks, you could take all of your references and do a left margin. Once again, it's just a personal preference. It doesn't have to be left nor the middle. For me, I feel it's easier to read if it's all left justified. The other piece that I would encourage you to put on your references is what is that person's job title, exactly what they did here. So Jack Deere was an assistant director. You could even add a statement behind that, worked with Jack for 10 years. Give them a little bit more information to tell that employer, how do you know Jack? And their phone number, once again, verify that that's correct. And 3 references typically are enough. But read the job ad, check with the employer, and I have seen employers ask for 3 to 4 professional, and then I've also seen them ask for personal references as well. So read the ad, follow the directions, make sure you know what they're requesting. But overall, the document that your references are on is a very easy thing to create. The most important thing about those references, once again, is to make sure that that contact information is correct and that they're going to give you a good reference. Most of the time, the HR or hiring person will only call those references once they're ready to make you a job offer. They've interviewed you, they think you've got the skills and qualities, and now they're going to verify the information that you have told them by contacting your references. So if Jack Deere was my last supervisor, and I had just so-so performances, and you know, sometimes I did not have really good attendance, I probably should not choose Jack Deere as a reference. So making sure that you're working your professional relationship with that person was of great value, and that they will say true and factual and positive things about your work history. More and more employers are asking you to apply online. They are asking you to submit your resume and cover letter online or email them instead of the old-fashioned snail mail or paper resumes. That's when things were much easier, right? So when you email a resume and cover letter, a couple of tips are combine that cover letter and resume on the same document. So page 1 of your document should be your cover letter, page 2 should be your resume. So that way when they open it, they have to only open one document and they can see both. If you submit a cover letter as one attachment and a resume as a second attachment, chances are they're not going to open that cover letter. They're just going to skip it over, go to that resume, and skim through it. So if you attach them both within the same document, they will see that cover letter first. So just one little tip there to encourage them to at least skim over that cover letter. Another tip with emailing resumes and cover letters is to save that document either as a rich text, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit, or a PDF. And both of those are needed so that if you are emailing your resume to someone who has a completely different version of word processing than what you have, it's going to format it so that your cover letter and your resume looks as nice as when they open it as when you submitted it. So I'll show you about that in just a little bit. The other piece on that email that I'm going to encourage you to do is on the subject line in that email, make sure that in that subject line is your first and last name and the job that you are applying for. Remember, you need to get your information, your name out there as often as you can so that employer is going to start thinking about, I'm getting familiar with this person. I'm recognizing this person's name. One last tip. Attach to the email your resume and cover letter. Do not put it in the body of the email. Because if they want to print it, if they want to forward it to someone else, it will look far more professional if you attach it and don't put that cover letter in the body. I know you're really tempted to do that. At least I was. So in the body of your email, just write Dear Mr. or Ms., a couple of lines about the position you're applying for and your skills, and then have them, the next step then is to open that attachment. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean about the rich text or the PDF. So I'm going to open a resume from our class that I taught. If any of you attended our class on resumes. So this is my pretend cover letter. As you can see, I don't have any information in there, but my cover letter is page 1 and my resume is page 2. Now don't look at the content because I don't have my qualifications and I don't have my skills up at top. Just look at the document itself, okay? So if I attached my cover letter to my resume. So now I'm going to save this as a PDF. PDF is enabled by a software called Adobe. Adobe is a free software. Anyone can download it from the internet. What Adobe just did to my cover letter and resume, it basically took a picture of it. And so that PDF, when I said save as PDF, it took a picture. So as you can see now, I can try to change my information and I can't. So if I email this as an attachment, what they're going to see is exactly what you see. It's not going to be jumbled or changed around. So PDF is one version of ensuring that your cover letter and resume have been formatted and that format doesn't change. I know some people are concerned with PDF that, well, what if the hiring manager who opens it has not downloaded Adobe? Are they going to be able to open my resume, or are they going to have to download Adobe first? So that is a legitimate concern. So in that case, another option is to go to File and do Save As, and then Save As Type. You will go down here and look for Rich Text Format and click on that, and then Save. With Rich Text Format, you can still change it. However, Rich Text is automatically now going to update the program that you have if the HR person has a different word processing program. Such as if you have Microsoft 10 and they only have Microsoft 8, it's going to make sure that that formatting stays nice how when you left it. So two different options. Save it either as rich text or save it as PDF. Both of those will ensure that all your hard work in making that presentation looks nice and professional when they open it. So good. So cover letters and resumes. Use the PDF and use the rich text. Later on, I will show you how to attach those to an email. But before I do that, I want to talk briefly about follow-up. You have spent so much time formatting that cover letter, researching that company, doing that resume, you've submitted it, and you don't hear anything. I have been there, done that. It is so frustrating. And you will wait today, tomorrow, and not even get a phone call. So I found this little joke, and I thought it was pretty appropriate for follow-up. It's called the job board. I hope he likes me. Do you think he'll call? Maybe I came on too strong. Relax. If a recruiter wants you, he'll call. Not. If that employer wants you, he'll call, yet they may have just gotten super busy. Projects may have changed, people may have left, people went on vacation. Who knows what causes delays? So follow-up means taking action and not waiting for that job to come to you. So what I encourage people to do is once you have submitted all of your documentation, give that employer a minimum of 5 business days. If you have not heard back from them, it's appropriate to give them a phone call. Make it brief, stay positive, and let them know that you are very interested in the position. You can ask if they have filled the position, and if not, you can also ask if they know approximately when they will be making their decisions on whom to interview. Make that phone call very brief, because remember, they are very busy. However, making that phone call, make sure that they have your first and last name, that they know which position that you have applied for. You may be talking to a receptionist and not the hiring manager. So you want to make sure with that phone call that you've left enough information for that hiring manager to be able to follow up with you. So in summary, why are cover letters important? Because Bonnie said so? No, it gives you an opportunity to talk personally about yourself. It may be the first document that they ever see about you. It also gives you a chance to highlight your qualifications. So when should you submit your references? I bet you have this one. Typically, you do not submit them when you submit your cover letter and resume. You wait to submit them either during that first interview or after the first interview. Once again, remember, however, if they ask for them in that job ad, submit them for when they've asked for them. So what 3 things have you learned during this training that's going to help you with job attainment? I hope everyone today has at least 3 different things that they can jot down on that note page that they can refer to when you get back home. I hope that you learned a little bit on how to format those resumes and cover letters. Remember, using the PDF or rich text. When you submit it in an email, remember that in the subject line that you put your first and last name and the job that you were applying for. A lot of information in a really short period of time. Feel free to stop by your job center and talk to your resource specialist if you have questions, or make an appointment to meet with your consultant. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar on cover letters and references. I hope to hear from you soon.